Say your app recently rebranded and you're now looking to understand what were the impacts of the rebranding on your app downloads. One of the main challenges is always to be able to predict what would have happened without doing something, such as if we had not rebranded. That is a question that we try to answer with the incrementality feature. Let's take the example of Deezer. Back in November 2023, Deezer actually rebranded in all of their markets, but we're going to be looking specifically at their home market of France. And as you can see, they went for a new icon, new screenshot, major update type of in-app event to announce that they were rebranding. What we can do with incrementality is go to Reporting Studio, select a metric, select the country or list of countries where we want to be investigating, and select an app. At this point, we can already pre-visualize what data looked around the time we're interested in. So in this case, we would look just for visualization at Q4 of 2023, and then move to specify what was the day of our event. An event can have multiple days. However, in this particular case, I will select a single day event, the day when the rebranding was announced, as well as the maximum available period for the post-event period, 31 days, which is going to help me also measure if there was any incremental lift in the days that followed the rebranding. I can also add an event name, click next, have a recap of what my incrementality test is going to try to measure, and start running the experiment. Here, as you can see, I've actually already run the experiment for the sake of this recording. And what we find is that according to our extrapolation model, on the day of our event, downloads were somewhat lower to what our prediction expected. We expected 2,219 downloads and got 2,002 instead, meaning we had 217 downloads less than expected. This is equivalent to a drop of 9.74%. And we can see that here our model has a p-value of 0.03, which is rather good, and therefore is going to lead us to say the results are statistically significant. And as you can see, we would usually say that anything below 0.05 means it is statistically significant, whereas above is where we start to have cutoffs. We also have a median absolute percentage error for our model at 6%, which appears to be rather healthy, which does suggest that on the day of the event, the rebranding actually hurt downloads, or in this case, download estimates. What's interesting at the same time is that for our past event period, we can also see that this time around, there is overall an average lift of 91 download estimates per day, which translates into an incremental impact of 3.38%. Now, the p-value here is a bit higher, which would make us say it's somewhat significant, but not perfectly significant. So the numbers would have to be taken cautiously. But the overall indication we have here is that on the day of the rebranding itself, downloads were lower than expected, which is not necessarily surprising with a rebrand. While people discover the new brand, they may be at first confused and your conversion could drop on the first day. Whereas in days later, as communication starts to hit, there's usually a lot of PR and potentially media buying campaigns going to highlight the new brand. We actually see a potential lift. That lift is not confirmed. Again, the results are not statistically significant. Nevertheless, we see a trend that's worth sharing internally and discussing where to go next. As you could see here, I ran the test based on download estimates, but obviously, if you have recently completed a rebrand, or even if you completed a rebrand some time ago but still want to analyze it, I highly encourage you to try measuring the incrementality based on your own metrics, whether console or MMP, as you can run the same type of test with incrementality based on your console integrations or MMP integration in AppTweak.